Could you return to what you're saying about being overwhelmed? Signs to watch out for and possible strategies, not necessarily the best. Okay, what does it mean to be overwhelmed, right? Overwhelmed means that your perceived challenge exceeds your perceived abilities as a person. So, I'll give you an example. Last year, in second year, I had a lot of exams to do. And I was studying, I felt like, to my utmost abilities, right? I was pushing myself so hard every single day, and I was almost burning out. Like, I knew that this pace was not sustainable. And even then, even with this unsustainable pace, which was way too much for me to handle, it wasn't enough to do all my exams. It wasn't enough to keep up and to study enough and to do well on all my exams. Then I felt overwhelmed because I felt like the challenge, like even if I were to push myself to my utmost limit, that wouldn't be enough. So I felt overwhelmed. And I think in that situation, the best friend of feeling overwhelmed is perfectionism. They go hand in hand. They're linked like this. They love each other. Perfectionism is the best friend of feeling overwhelmed because it makes you strive for perfection, and that striving for perfection makes you feel overwhelmed. So I think one of the solutions to feeling overwhelmed is to be realistic, is to think, how much do I actually need to do? How much can I realistically do? What kind of compromises can I make? Can I find a better way which doesn't require as much time? What I did in second year was really inefficient. I would go with a fine-tooth comb, sifting through each topic, picking out every single piece of information, trying to understand it. And that wasn't enough time. Like, I didn't have enough time, even with pushing myself super, super hard, to do that for all the subjects, for all the topics. So maybe think about what you're doing. Think about how you're doing it, and maybe you could do it in a better way that isn't going to overwhelm you. And understand that you're not going to be perfect. Doing something is better than nothing, right? So having this idea of, oh, I have all of these exams, and no matter what I do, I'm not going to get a really good grades in all of them, so therefore I'm not going to do anything, is a very common response. And it's kind of a logical response, right? Like, your brain is thinking, look, even if you work really, really hard, it's not guaranteed that you're going to do well, so why would you work hard? But you have to go against that instinct and think, look, I don't have to be perfect. I just have to do something. I have to get started. So what's the easiest way for me to get started? And then how can I use that momentum to push me forward? I think that's how I would recommend going over feeling overwhelmed, because I feel like that goes to the true core of the problem, is perfectionism. And when you're realistic with yourself, and when you're okay with not being perfect, when you're okay with not studying perfectly, with watching a lecture while sitting on the couch half listening compared to watching Netflix and eating junk food, it's better than nothing. And it's getting you out of your chair. It's getting you out of this dump. And once you get started, it's a lot easier to continue the momentum. And then you feel less overwhelmed because you feel like, oh yeah, I actually made some progress. I actually moved forward. And when you find new ways to go around it, you find new ways to study, you find a new resource, you find a new lecture that you didn't realize, or you find a better way to go through the material more quickly. That helps you feel less overwhelmed.